Welcome to Randy's Recaps. Turn on subtitles, sit back and enjoy. The movie starts with a handcuffed man who seems to be badly beaten reaches in his pocket for a cigarette. He removes a tin of tuna from his jacket and opens it as he smokes. He then places a kitten that came out of his jacket on the table. Across the table we see a woman and a man who are questioning him. Hutch Mansell seems like an ordinary man, living his ordinary life. The man has 2 kids from his wife Becca, who is a successful woman. Hutch has an unremarkable job at his father-in-law Eddie's metal fabrication company. The man seems to be getting sick of his daily boring routine. His son Blake seems to have no respect for him, as he does not even greet his father when he gets home from work. Things do not seem to be great between the husband and wife either, as we see a pillow placed between them separating the two on the bed. A neighborhood dog barks and Hutch goes out to make sure everything is all right. As he goes downstairs he hears a noise as intruders break into his house. Hutch tries to make a phone call, but a female intruder gets there and demands money. Pointing a gun at Hutch, he notices a tattoo on the female intruder's wrist. Just as they demand his wedding ring, his son Blake gets downstairs and tackles the man. The intruder approaches them with the gun and Hutch appears to get ready to swing at her with a golf club, but he stops himself and tells Blake to let the intruder go. He does, and the intruder punches him in the face before they flee. The attack on Blake results in him getting a black eye. Blake is pissed off at his father, causing him to drift even further away. The police arrive there. Hutch is pissed off at himself for not taking care of the intruder. His whole family is disappointed in him as they go to bed again. Hutch sleeps downstairs on the couch and his daughter Sammy joins him. She is the only person in the family who gets along with him. She tells him that they need a cat. The next day Blake asks Hutch if he could interview him for a project on veterans. Hutch says that he is nothing more than an auditor. Becca tells Blake to ask his uncle, who was a real soldier. The family leaves the house to start their day and Sammy hugs him on their way out. The neighbor tells Hutch if it was him he would have beaten the intruders. He then goes on to brag about his new car. The tedium of Hutch's week begins. Upon reaching the factory he is questioned by his brother-in-law Charlie for not tackling the intruders. Charlie gives him a gun and asks him to keep his sister safe. Hutch takes the gun and keeps it in a box at the back of the freezer. Then we see Eddie coming to Hutch to discuss his fair offer to buy the business from him. He tells Hutch that after a lifetime of hard work he would like a great offer. Hutch tells him that he just wants something that is his. Hutch then locks his office and contacts his brother Harry, who is supposedly dead. They talk on the radio. He tells him that he held back from attacking the intruders as they were young, scared and desperate. He further adds that their gun was not even loaded. Harry tells him that he did the right thing and asks him not to do anything stupid. Hutch then goes to see his father, who asks him if he remembers the man he once used to be. When Hutch gets home he sees his family gathered around the dinner table. Blake barely greets him and Becca asks about his day. Sammy, on the other hand, appears to have lost her kitty cat bracelet, which was in the bowl with the money that the intruders stole. Hutch then goes to see his father yet again. His father tells him if he does this thing he has to do very well. He borrows his father's old FBI badge and gun to track down the burglars. Hutch goes to the tattoo parlors, shows them his badge, and one of them even makes fun of him, telling him that the badge is 20 years old. They ask Hutch who he really is. He tells them he is just a man looking for someone and pulls out his billfold. He dares them to take the cash from him. The people then see his tattoo on the wrist, and this is when they change their attitude towards him. A man asks how they can help him. Hutch points at a tattoo in a picture and they give him the address of the person who has the same tattoo. Hutch then goes to the address and enters the apartment with his gun pointed at the girl's boyfriend. He asks them to return his watch and the kitty cat bracelet. The couple's sick baby wakes up because of their shouting and Hutch gets out of there. Outside he punches a wall repeatedly. He is simultaneously angry and sad. He gets on the bus. A vehicle then approaches the bus and stops it. 5 thugs approach the closed door of the bus. A young girl on the bus is sitting alone and the female bus driver looks scared as she opens the door. The thugs enter the bus and start messing with the passengers, trying to intimidate them. Hutch is sitting quietly on the last seat of the bus. As the thugs surround the young girl, Hutch gets up and walks through them. He asks the driver to get off the bus, then closes the door and returns to face the thugs. Hutch removes the bullets from his gun. As the boys look on, he threatens them and they laugh. Hutch, who is already frustrated and furious, gets even angrier and unleashes his wrath on the thugs, beating the hell out of them. He himself gets injured too, but continues to fight. He almost beats them to death He then gets out and apologizes to the driver for the mess he created. When he gets home, he sees his wife sitting in the darkness. She asks him where he has been and he tells her it was just like old times tonight. As his wife gently cleans his wounds, he tells her that she seems far away and there is no intimacy left in their marriage. He asks her if she remembers who they used to be. Becca then removes the pillow that separates them on the bed and starts touching him gently. In the next scene, we see a passenger verbally abusing his driver for passing the destination. Yulian Kuznetsov, a mob enforcer, gets out of the car and walks into a club. He gets on the stage where he sings and dances, then gets off the stage and walks toward a group of men. He asks them if they are satisfied with the security for Obshak. They tell him that they are satisfied. Yulian then introduces them to Pavel, his right-hand man. The spokesman for the group says to Yulian that his dancing and singing do not really inspire confidence in them as the guardian of their money. It does not sit well with Yulian and he responds by killing one of the stakeholders, asking if their confidence is restored. Yulian receives a phone call and in the next scene, we see him standing at his brother's bedside. The boy's brain has been severely damaged. Yulian assumes that the attack must be related to Obshak. Another man in the room who is badly injured shows Yulian a Metro card he had picked up during the fight on the bus. The next day, Hutch seems better. He seems happy as he prepares for his day. He informs his son that he is proud of him for tackling the intruders. Hutch then receives a phone call from his brother who tells him to see a man known as the barber. He tells him that one of the thugs he beat is the younger brother of Yulian, a very wealthy Russian crime lord. The barber tells Hutch all he needs to know and adds that Yulian yet does not know who Hutch is. Despite despising his younger brother, he is still going to avenge him. He tells him that the Obshak is an operation dealing with millions of dollars on the move. Yulian is the current caretaker and seems to be tired of this huge responsibility. Yulian is informed that Hutch's father lives in a nursing home and they keep trying to track his location. Yulian's secretary blackmails a man in the Pentagon into checking the archives for information on Hutch. Hutch is listed as nobody. Hutch, on the other hand, looks happy as he prepares a meal for his family and suggests they all go to Italy. He then sees a car approaching and asks everyone in the family to go to the basement at once. Yulian has sent his dogs led by his right-hand Pavel to attack Hutch. Hutch launches an attack on the attackers and kills most of the men. Pavel eventually puts him down using a taser on him. They put Hutch into a car. Hutch dislocates his wrists. To remove the handcuffs, he finds a fire extinguisher and uses it to blind his abductors. The car crashes and before Pavel dies, Hutch tells him who he actually is. He then runs home to open the basement door for his family. As Hutch runs back home, he calls David and warns him to watch himself. He then frees his family from the panic room, covering Sammy's eyes so she won't see the slew of dead bodies in the house. Hutch then sends Becca and the kids away to somewhere safe and she asks him to make sure he returns to them. Becca drives away with the children to a safe place. Hutch places all the dead and injured men on his couch and starts speaking. He tells that he is a former auditor and assassin employed by intelligence agencies to kill the people who consider themselves untouchable. He did his work professionally until he let a man he was supposed to kill go free. A year later, Hutch found that the man he spared had built a new life and family for himself and was very happy. This is when Hutch decided to retire against the wishes of his superiors. Ever since he retired, he has done everything to stay away from the shadows of his old life. He then sees a kitty cat bracelet lying next to a pool of blood under the radio. Before he leaves, he tells the dead man that bone burns to ashes at 1500 degrees without leaving a trace. Hutch acknowledges that deep down he knew his life was just a facade that lasted longer than he expected. He has to burn down all the traces of the killing he just did, so he sets his house on fire and picks up a photograph of his family as he walks out of the house. Remember his jerk neighbor? The one who once bragged about his new car to Hutch. Well, Hutch steals that very car and drives away. Then we see a car with two assassins arrive at the nursing home. They go directly to Hutch's father's room and approach him as he pretends to be asleep. Just as they approach him, he kills both the assassins. In the next scene, we see Hutch pouring a bag full of gold bars onto Eddie's desk and telling him that he is buying the company. Yulian, on the other hand, watches the whole footage on the news and gets to know that Pavel has been killed by Hutch. Hutch, on the other hand, closes the factory temporarily. We see that his desk is covered with weapons and ammunition. Harry contacts him on the radio and Hutch tells him that he has devised a plan. He drives to where the mob are counting the Obshak money. He makes quite an entrance as he opens fire. The moment he enters the building, he removes a Van Gogh painting before he sets fire to Julian's priceless artwork and piles of money. After delivering a fatal blow, Hutch now drives to meet Julian at the club. Julian is surrounded by his henchmen, but Hutch has a plan. It turns out that he has an explosive device that was concealed under his napkin. Hutch has the detonator in his hand. So if they even try to get close to him, boom. Hutch then sits across a table as he talks to Julian. He tells him that he has burned everything owned by Julian to ashes. Julian goes berserk at this. Hutch then gives Julian a choice. He tells him that he can either choose to come after him, or better, he can choose to take what little remains and flee. After telling this to Julian, Hutch leaves the club. Julian is now angry and calls every man on his peril. They go after Hutch, who is at the factory. David and Harry are also there to help Hutch deal with the gangsters. They use a variety of advanced weapons and their experience to lay traps for the gangsters. They kill all the gunmen except Julian, who shoots Harry. Hutch charges him with a claymore mine attached to a pane of bulletproof glass and detonates it, killing Julian. Hutch shows his gratification to Harry and David, who leave as the police cars approach. Hutch leaves Becca a loving message. Then a kitten appears. He leaves carrying a painting with a kitten wrapped in his jacket. He is arrested by the police. We are back to the scene where the movie started. Hutch gets quickly released with no charges filed against him. 3 months later, while buying a new house with Becca, Hutch receives a call suggesting that his services are still required. In a mid-credits scene, Harry and David are shown driving to an undisclosed location in an RV filled with guns. This is where the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.